Oh, I'm so excited that we finally get to start this webinar. I have been so just on pins and needles, so excited to share with you guys about instant gratification and our brain, because this is something that is affecting everybody on the planet that has access to any kind of electronics. This is just the world that we're living in, and we need to understand it better. Because I was talking to one of my personal mentoring clients earlier today, and one of the things that we were talking about was the fact that in history, it used to me that there were small changes that happened across decades or centuries. And now in our current world, there are big changes that happen in like months. It just everything is changing so quickly, and we need to understand what that is doing to our brains. In fact, I've gotten so fascinated by it that I've actually worked really hard, and in the last few months, I have been working on getting a micro bachelor's degree in neuroscience. So here is one of the certificates from one of my classes from Harvard, which is so cool. I love it that I have my signature of the doctor who's been teaching this class. So there's one of my certificates. I hope to get the big one here soon, but it's just taught me that there's so much going on in our brains that we don't realize is happening. And if you understand a little bit more of it, it actually gives you a leg up to be able to handle your world better. So let me just ask a question here really quick, and everybody find the raise the hand button for me, including me. Where is my raise the hand button? Oh, somebody raised it so I could find it. Thank you so much. So what I want you to do is, well, go ahead, raise your hand before I even ask the question. I see what kind of people are on here. That's awesome. But the question, the question is, who would like to be able to have a leg up on understanding what the world is doing to their brain? Raise your hand. And you can unraise it if now you're like, oh no, I can. Okay, look at all those hands, right? So part of my intention there is for you to find the raise the hand button, because that's one of the ways that we will interact tonight. The other way that we will interact tonight, so that I can see into you a little bit, is through our webinar chat. So I'm going to ask you questions that you can answer in the chat, and I watch all the answers go by for our chat. And then I also ask you questions that you can use the raise the hand button for, so that this is interactive. Okay, this isn't just me jibber jabbering at you all night. This is me and you having an interaction. So if you're the kind of person who would like to have that leg up on your brain, in the chat now, I want you to tell me why. What is a reason? Why would you show up tonight and want to have a leg up on how your brain works? What's the struggle that you see? What are you or somebody you care about struggling with? Okay? Excellent. There's no right or wrong answers here. Just put them in the chat. I like that. I feel distracted all of the time. I don't know. I have no motivation. I don't know. I don't know how to interact with people anymore. I get stuck in things. Whatever it is, put your answer in the chat, because I want to see, because I can just give you some of my own problems and you can work through those. But I'd much rather see what yours are, so that as we work through this tonight, I can cater it to what you're struggling with. Okay, overwhelmed, distracted, I don't follow through, procrastination, more distracted. I want to know more about my brain so that I can win my inner battles, right, Myron? That's a good one. I can't get started on all the things that I need to get done, right? No ability to get started, no motivation, can't focus. My adult children are feeling insecurity. So true. I'm always jumping one thing to another in the middle of what I'm doing. Love it. Distraction, overwhelm, sabotage, procrastination. So keep putting your answers in there and I'll read those. But what I'm seeing so far, you and me, we are in the right place at the right time, because this is what I want to talk about tonight. I feel like it affects my ability to manage my emotions. Yeah, that's a good one, Tiffany. Um, Oh, I'm already sharing. So I want to talk about some of the patterns that I've learned while I've been getting my neuroscience, while I was going through my neuroscience classes. I'm going to talk about some of the patterns. I'm also going to talk about the patterns that are going on in our world, what we're up against. Every generation has its struggles, and this generation has very different struggles than, and this generation, I mean the ones that are like under 18 right now, they have different struggles than the ones those of us who are over 18 had when we were growing up. So I want to talk about those patterns. I want to talk about what that is doing to our brain and why it's doing it to our brain and how to get out of it. So those are the things that I want to cover tonight in the short amount of time that we have together. So I'm going to go through this as quickly and succinctly as possible. But at the same time, remember, this is an interaction. This isn't just an audiobook you're listening to. This is an interaction. So even if you're listening to the recording, please understand that if you interact, and what does interact look like? It means that you, if you're watching this on YouTube, you type in the comments. If you are listening live, type in the chat, or either way, take notes. Have a pen and a paper ready to write things down, because if you'll take the time to do that, and I'll even dare you, if you're watching the recording, try not to watch it on 2x speed, maybe just 1.25, right? See if you can watch it a little bit slower, and that will actually help your brain in so many ways that you're going to learn tonight. So really quick, if you don't know who I am, my name is Ann Washburn. Yeah, that is a picture of me, even though I have glasses and different hair tonight. My name is Ann Washburn, and for the last 15 years, I have dedicated my life to understanding human behavior. It all started with becoming a body language expert, because back in my previous life as an engineer, I worked in flight simulation and explosives. I did really cool things, but I didn't know how to get along with people. I was pretty scared of them, and I didn't know how to manage myself. And so I started in the world of being a body language expert and quickly turned into a behavior and psychology expert. And my latest endeavor has been neuroscience. So here is a little bit about me. If you haven't seen my TED Talk, please go watch it. We're so close to 2 million views that I am so excited about. Oh, and down here you can see some of the awards that Three Key Elements and myself have received over the years. Of these, um, I personally was on Newsmax. I personally went to the Best of Utah State Awards. That was pretty cool. I'm a certified mental wellness coach. I have my neuroscience microbachelor's from Harvard. And I also, besides Newsmax, I've been on other TVs, stations, and one of them being ABC4 Utah, as well as being recognized by the National Speakers Association. So that's who I am in a big nutshell. So now it's time for you because I need to know you. Now that I told you a little bit about me, I need to know you a little bit better. So I need you to grab a pen and a paper or be willing to type in the chat, okay? And then the second one here, next one, is be willing to look at things differently. One of the superpower abilities we have being human and not one of the other animal species on the planet is our ability to look at multiple perspectives of an issue. And when we can do that, it actually supercharges our ability to access agency in our life and make choices to upgrade ourselves. Okay? So let me just say that one more time. If we're willing to look from different perspectives, it supercharges our human abilities. So I didn't get this quote, but I'll paraphrase it. Abraham Lincoln, what has been looked at as one of the greatest presidents that we've had in the history of the US. And one of the things that set Abraham Lincoln apart was something that he received a lot of backlash from critics for. And that was that on his cabinet, he chose to keep people there that didn't agree with him, that didn't share his political views or his worldviews or other views. And when he was asked why he would keep those people in his cabinet, he said, because he didn't want people who would just mirror back to him what he was already thinking. He wanted to be able to defend his thoughts and his ideas. And if he couldn't defend those to people that thought the opposite of him, then he said he didn't have any business using those to lead the country. And I would argue that that's the same for us. You guys, we need to be willing to lead ourselves differently. We need to be able to not get lost in the world of what do other people think of me, and instead be willing to stand on our own feet and consider things that are a different perspective. And the last thing is, at the end of the webinar, I always ask, what new action will you take because you joined this webinar tonight? You guys, you could have done anything with these 2 hours tonight, and you chose to be on Zoom with me. So first of all, high five. Very good. We'll see if we can get some balloons here for doing that. Oh, it won't do it while I'm sharing the screen. I forgot. So here, we'll try this. So high five for joining me tonight. And you've made such a good choice being here tonight. Come on, where's my balloons? Oh, I'm sad. Where'd they go? They worked earlier. My heart still work? There's the heart. Okay, I don't know where the balloons are. So the point being, we chose to be here. All the decisions that we've made in our life to this point have brought us here together today. So it's time to appreciate the choices you've made. Learn from them, but commit to a new action. Because if we just learn something new and don't take an action, all we've done is succumb to instant gratification, and that's not what we want to do. All right. So tonight, I do also want you to know, so we're going to get started on this, on me learning about you. And then at the end of this webinar, I do have an exciting announcement about a class that we're going to teach in person. Yay! So I will tell you all about that at the end of the webinar. So you want to stick around for that. Okay, so my first question for you to answer on your paper has to do with frogs. So look at this cute frog I found. So frogs, you might have heard the old story, if you put a frog in water, boiling water, he will just jump out, right? But if you put him in and heat up the water slowly, he doesn't even notice that he's being boiled. Well, I know that there's controversy over whether that's a real story or not, but the point remains. What if instant gratification is the slow heat? What if our overstimulated brains are that frog? And we are being boiled in dopamine and convenience without even noticing. So on your paper, I want you to write down, I will give you the answers in a minute, but what do you think the costs are? So put it in the chat or write it on your paper. What are the costs that come to us because of our convenience? Nothing is free, okay? Nothing is free in our lives. And the reason for that is on purpose. We live on the planet of opposition. And so that means that there is a cost and benefit to everything. Well, instant gratification gives us a lot of benefit. Gives us a lot of benefit because what kinds of instant gratification do we have? We have, I can't ask you 2 questions at once. That will get confusing. So first, answer this one. What are the costs? So the kinds of instant gratification we have are, yes, I should have asked these in the other order, but it's okay. So I'll just tell you, the kinds of instant gratification we have are, I can order something on the internet and it will show up this afternoon or tomorrow morning. So I can have stuff instantly. I can get information instantly. I can pick up my phone and I can ask it a question and I can get an answer instantly. I can take a picture instantly. Gone are the days where we have to just enjoy a sunset and remember it in our mind. We don't ever just watch the sunset anymore. We have to take 20 pictures of it. So remembering by pictures is instant. We have instant gratification of food, of sugar, of salty. We have instant gratification of rescuing. We can be rescued from our problems instantly. So the list goes on. But what do you think the costs are? So make sure you write a cost either in the chat or on your paper, okay? Because you'll use this later. We don't learn, we become lazy. We get lost in scrolling, loss of patience, loss of discipline, time wasted. Yep, these are all great answers. Okay, so let's think about, all right, so here's my next question for you. If I gave you the choice right now to sit in a cold shower for 1 minute or scroll on your phone for 5 minutes, which would you choose? Which would you choose? Put a 1 in the chat if you would choose the cold shower for 1 minute. Put a 5 in the chat if you would choose to scroll on your phone for 5 minutes. So put a 1 or a 5. Which is it? 5, right? Look at all those 5s going by. But the problem is this. The cold will reset your nervous system. The phone plays tricks on your nervous system. Shauna, can I say both? You are going to sit in a cold shower while scrolling on your phone. It's a benefit paradox, and we need to understand this because in our brain, we have these neurons, okay? And this is not a bad representation of a neuron. So a neuron has the center portion, the soma, and the neuron receives messages from lots of other neurons. So all of these are called dendrites, where your brain is receiving signals, okay? And then over here on the other side, this neuron takes in all of these signals, and then based on the signals it gets, it gives out a signal to the next neuron. And so this moves through our brain, the signals coming in and out of every neuron, and it happens by the millisecond. So thousands of times a second, we have these signals that are going throughout our body. Well, these signals were divinely created in a way that helps us to grow. It's really fascinating. Humans, because we have this big prefrontal cortex, we have, oh, I would love to go on that tangent. We don't have time for all the tangents I want to go on. But to suffice it to say this, when we're born, the reason we are so helpless when we're born is because of the size of our brain. So the size of our brain makes it so that we have to be born when we're half-baked, because otherwise we wouldn't fit through the birth canal. We're not like other animals that when they plop out of their mom, they can get up and run away from a predator within a couple of hours. No, we're not like that. In fact, we need 2 or 3 more years before we're ready to do anything of consequence for ourselves. And so what that means is we have these programs that are being built into our nervous system outside of the womb. So instead of getting all of our programming in the womb, we're also getting programming after we're born still. In fact, we get lots of programming that goes directly into our subconscious and has access to our nervous system clear up until around the age of 8. It's still going directly there. And then from the age of 8, clear up till 26, our prefrontal cortex ability to override programs is still coming online. So we are taking on programming up to as many as 26 years of our life. And then from 26 years forward, now our job, so from 26 to 126, our job is now to check in with the programs that we took on and make choices about them, whether we want to keep them or whether we want to prune them. This is how neuroplasticity works. Neuroplasticity, it goes like this. Neurons that wire together, fire together, wire together. Neurons that fire together, wire together. All that means is if you send the same signal enough times, your brain says, oh, I need to keep that program. But then there's the other side of it that says that neurons out of sync lose their link. So there won't be a test on that, but I had to be tested on that. But what that means is we can disconnect ourselves from programs that are no longer serving us. The problem is, as adults, we're not really, we don't automatically see for ourselves what program's not serving me because I'm in the middle of running the program. And since I'm in the middle of it, I become kind of blind to it. We have a whole bunch, I have a list of 26 different biases that we have because our brain is set up to run the programs over and over and over again. Our brain loves the familiar and it loves what it perceives as safe. So whatever's been repeated is viewed as safe. So what does that mean for us? That means that what's happening is our ability to interrupt the programs that were serving me as a child and no longer serve me as an adult. That ability is actually being hijacked in our modern world. So let me show you what's going on. So here is a dopamine cycle. So most of you, raise your hand if you've heard about dopamine when it comes to instant gratification. Let me just see, raise your hand if you've heard those in combination before. Okay, so there's so many hands, I better ask the opposite question. So let me put the hands down. I'm going to lower everybody's hands. If you've never heard of dopamine in connection with instant gratification, raise your hand. Okay, so a few people. Okay, that's good to know. That's good to know. Thank you for letting me know. So let me explain what's going on. So dopamine is the want hormone. It's what makes us crave something. It is not the satisfaction hormone. So it does not say, oh, I've had enough. What it says is, oh, that was good. Let's have more of it. Okay. I only heard about it recently from you. That's a good answer, Crystal. Okay. So here's how the dopamine cycle works. What dopamine does is we have a cue from our environment. And the cue is, so let's do an old-fashioned example. I like this one because it was in the books, Little House on the Prairie, if anybody ever read those. My dad would read them to us as bedtime stories because my dad taught the children's literature classes at college at BYU, Idaho. And so he would use that as his textbook. So he would read it to us at night. And one of the stories in there was Pa in the Little House on the Prairie. One day he saw all these bees flying and he followed them to this tree. And he's like, oh my gosh, there's the beehive. And he knew that in that beehive there would be honey. And his craving from that cue was sweetness. I want the sweetness that I could get from the honey. So the cue was he could see the beehive, right? The craving was he wanted the sugar that was in the beehive. And back then, there was not a store nearby that they could run down to and he could just buy a jar of honey. There wasn't anything like that. So in order to have something sweet to satisfy that craving, he was going to have to take the action of climbing up and taking the honey out of that beehive. So there was the cue, there was the craving, and now there was the action. And so he did, and there's this whole long story in there about how he climbed up that beehive and he got the honey out and he got stung a lot, but he got the reward of being able to have some of that sticky sweet honey because his brain gave him a dopamine signal that said sugar is a good thing. Let's get some of that sugar. But for Pa Ingalls, after he got that reward, there was a period of time where his brain could reset. It could reset and get ready for the next cue. And so his dopamine cycle was serving him really well because it said, oh, yeah, sugar, that would be a really great thing. That would be so good. And so he went through the cue, the craving, the action, and the reward, but then he had a reset. So if you research dopamine cycles on the internet, they're not going to talk about this reset part, but it's super important. We need that reset so that we don't get overloaded with cues and cravings, cues and cravings. And that's because when we do, we get what's called dopamine fatigue. So in our modern world, we have more of a dopamine fatigue cycle instead of a dopamine cycle. And the way this happens is our cue, instead of being for something sweet, so back in those days, in Pa Ingalls' days, he could wait for the cue of something good. In our modern world, what we mostly use dopamine for is to get away from any kind of discomfort. We're constantly on the run away from discomfort. And the reason why is because our brain has been trained that it can have a dopamine hit. Our brain loves dopamine. It wants it. It wants it, but it also wants something else when the dopamine comes. So the dopamine makes you want to repeat something. That's what it wants you to do. So Pa Ingalls, even though he got stung by the bees, there was such a good reward from that. It doesn't talk about it in the books, but it's very likely that the next time he saw a beehive, he would do the same thing. His mouth would water for the honey, and he would take the action of going after the bees and getting their honey because he was able to wait for his dopamine to help him want something. Okay. But in our modern world, what happens is we run from discomfort. I don't want the discomfort. And discomfort now, so let's still use the sugar example. Discomfort comes in the form of I am bored. I'm bored. Oh, I'm bored. I want a distraction from the discomfort of bored. And so my brain will go for whatever the rescue is, whatever the fastest rescue is from that discomfort. And so that fast rescue, our body might go, oh, something sweet. That would distract me from boredom. Let's go get something sweet. And so then I don't have to hardly take any action at all. I barely have to lift a finger. I just walk to the pantry and grab a handful of chocolate chips. Nom, nom, nom. There. I get my dopamine spike followed by an immediate crash, followed by a very close after crash. And that gives us what's called a pseudo reward. It's not a really lasting reward. It was an escape from a momentary, often pretend discomfort. So now instead of this one, where I get to go through this dopamine cycle and then have a reset, what happens is after my pseudo reward, I actually have a bigger craving and more discomfort than I had before I started. This dopamine spike and crash actually leads to more discomfort, which makes me immediately want to be rescued from the discomfort. So use your phone, right? One of the things, and there are studies that show, I put them in my emails. If you read the emails that went out, I quoted some of these studies that show that the algorithms of social media or things like YouTube or Instagram or Facebook or TikTok, all of them, the people writing those algorithms actually study how to keep you in a dopamine cycle so long that it's definitely fatiguing your cycle, but it gets you to click on their things more and more and more and more because they are at a war. They are at war for your attention. That's what they want. They want your attention over anything else, and they don't care if it burns out your dopamine cycle. They don't care. So look, if I am feeling discomfort, maybe the discomfort is as simple as, oh, what would be easy? I need to vacuum the living room. Oh, okay, that sounds hard. Let me pull out my phone. And now it doesn't even matter what I do. anything I do on here, any of these apps, they are going to give me a dopamine spike because they're programmed to do that. They're programmed to cause me dopamine so that I want to do it again. This is why if you play a game on your phone, it won't, if you played two different games on your phone, if one of the games gave you rewards immediately and the other game made you work and you only sometimes got the reward, you will actually play the game that gives you fewer rewards for your efforts because of the randomness of the reward. They have perfectly programmed to work against you having control over your own brain. They know how your brain works so good that they can hijack it. So raise your hand if you've ever felt hijacked by anything on the internet. I will raise both hands on that one. I have definitely felt like I have been hijacked by things. My brain has been hijacked. Oh my gosh. In fact, I noticed recently, um, just when I was studying for one of my neuroscience classes, I was out reading some information and I would come across a website and it would have too much text next to each other. And I would go, oh, pass, because my brain didn't like that it might have to read a page full of text. My brain wanted it to be broken up. So I'm a victim of this as well. I have noticed that my brain is getting hijacked. It's being hijacked by the people who are programming the algorithms, right? Yeah, it is scary. And so this though, if I understand what's going on, then I can have a choice of what to do about it. So my brain seeks rescue. So here's the question I was going to ask earlier. What are the ways that my brain can be rescued? So here's some of them. And then if you guys want to add to the list, fantastic. My brain can be rescued by information, stuff, people coming to my rescue, solutions, if I get solutions too fast, certainty. This has to do with when I'm trying to make a decision. I want certainty that I'm making the right decision. That can actually lead to our detriment. Food, oh, those chocolate chips in the pantry, right? I only use that because that's what the internet said is the most common cheat food in somebody's pantry is the chocolate chips. Um, learning something without taking action is a dopamine hit. Excuses. Every time you make an excuse, procrastinate, numbness, ignorance. Um, if I override my body, my emotions, or my thoughts, these are instant gratification. Um, so there's so many, but they're brain engineers, right, Shauna? So true. So there's so many ways that we can have rescue to our brain nowadays. Um, okay, so what are the long-term costs? Okay, I have my slides out of order here. So let's look at what the long-term costs are. And you might just need to take some screenshots of this because I have more information than I'm possibly going to be able to get through tonight. But here's some of the long-term costs. Our motivation, and I want you to just look. And on your paper, if you have felt any of these, copy the title down or just put the number. Say, I'm on long-term costs. I'm a 1, I'm a 3, I'm a 4, and I have another page here in a minute. But I have low motivation. Anybody experience that? We have pleasure insensitivity. It actually has a name. It's called anhedonia. Anhedonia. I don't want my name associated with that, but okay, anhedonia. And that just means that when dopamine is over triggered, the brain starts to down regulate its receptors. If we put too much dopamine out, actually our brain will reduce some of the receptors. So now I need more dopamine next time because it's actually better for us if we get a reset period. So your brain's trying to help us by removing some of the receptors so that I can have a reset period. But we don't like that. So then what do? We double down on what we do on our phone, or we double down on what we do on the computer, or we double down on whatever rescue we're using. Maybe it's excuses, maybe it's gossip, maybe it's whatever it is. We just double down on it. Emotional instability. We become micro discomfort or minor discomforts become unbearable. So this is where in my last email I talked about the Karen, right? That we can all become the kind of person that overreacts to little stressors because the more we are desensitized to dopamine, the lower our stress tolerance. So if I have fewer dopamine receptors, I will have a lower stress ability. Did you know you actually have a stress ability? And we need our stress ability. But we have a low stress ability and we become emotionally reactive. Um, so have you ever flown off the handle for some silly little reason? You don't have to raise your hand on that one. I will. I have. I will admit it. And I don't like it. I'm much better now, now that I understand what to do about it. Addictive tendencies. So this can be anything. Addicted to your phone. Anybody have withdrawal if you don't know where your phone is? Like I had a minor meltdown last year at Costco. I had worn pants. Okay. Are you glad I wore pants? I can't believe I ended the sentence right there. Yes, I did wear pants to Costco. I had worn pants without pockets. And so I was trying to hold on to my phone and I kept putting it down every time I stopped to look at something. Till finally I got down an aisle and I'm like, oh, I don't have my phone. And I had this little minor meltdown for about 15 minutes while we found my phone because one of the employees had found it where I'd left it and taken it up to customer service and all of that. And but for those 15 minutes, I was like, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no, oh no. And we have all of the crazy stories run through our head. I'm going to have to cancel my credit cards. I'm going to have to cancel my SIM card. Um, they're going to break into my whole life. And we have all these stories. But really, the bigger piece is we're addicted to it. We don't want it to be out of our sight. It's kind of a crazy thing. Um, and so we have addictive tendencies. And then now let's look at some more. I will have identity confusion and self-worth issues. If I have too much dopamine, if there's too much dopamine going on and I'm having that fatigue, it starts to break down my identity and my self-worth. So we can start to identify with the patterns that we're in. Oh, I'm just a lazy person, or oh, I'm just not motivated, or I'm not somebody who knows how to follow through. We start to identify with the negative things. It actually can become worse than this. And we've been talking about this in breakthrough coaching. Those of you that are in breakthrough coaching, we've been talking about identity-based living versus evidence-based living. Well, your instant gratification hijacking of your dopamine cycle can actually make it so it's really hard to believe a positive identity about yourself. Reduced executive function. An overstimulated brain often show lower activity in the prefrontal cortex. So this is what I was talking about. Our ability to make choices actually reduces. It impacts our focus, our memory, our impulse control, and our long-term thinking. Okay, quick tangent. I got to cover two things here. Have you heard of anybody my son is one of these who says, "Oh man, my memory is just shot. I can't remember things. You're going to have to remind me a whole bunch of times." Raise your hand if you know anybody, not you, right? But anybody else that your memory is just going downhill, right? Oh my gosh. My son says it all the time. He's like, "Mom, my memory is just shot. You're going to just have to text me a few more times because he's in California right now, and I told him I want him to bring me back some oranges. And he goes, okay, just remind me about 5 more times, and then I'll be able to remember it. Well, where that comes from is from a constant input of dopamine. Yes, Shauna, brain fog. So our memory goes down. But here's another thing. It also makes us short-sighted. I don't remember if I made a separate slide for this, but we become short-sighted. A constant cycle of dopamine makes it so that we can't see or look at things that are too far down the road. We have to only like think about the next hour or the next day. And so people quit setting long-term plans. And this are young people like my children who are not married. This is a problem for them because I'm going to skip to 8 for a second here. It causes social isolation, that word over there, social isolation and relationship decay. We can't think further down the road, and so we can't imagine ourselves in a better situation. We also have a disconnect with how long something will take. I hear this in my kids because I'll hear my son say like, "Oh, next year, yeah, I want to be married next year." And I'm like, "Then shouldn't you start dating?" I mean, they don't connect the dots of one thing leading to another. We get disconnected and disjointed from time. And this happens, okay, third tangent, and then we'll go back to this. But there's also what's called time skipping that they're noticing now. People will sit down to do something and they'll start doing it, and then they'll look up and it's like half an hour later. And they're like, I literally can't remember what I just did for the last half hour. It's not because they're not paying attention or they're just so absorbed. What's happening is what they taught me in my courses was the time slipping or time skipping is a phenomenon where your brain doesn't record memory for that time because it doesn't view what you're doing as important. You have We have some blindness there. It's a bias that's happening in our brain, and I could look up the title of that bias. But the point is it's called time skipping. And so if you've ever been like, "Whoa, where did the last 3 hours go?" Or how about where did 2024 go, right? Or can you believe 2025 is almost 1/3 over? It's so dopamine fatigue is robbing us of our future. It's causing us to not be able to set a goal, achieve the goal, and have something better in our lives. I thought I thought back to when I first got married. And when I first got married, in those first 3 years, we lived in like 7 different places. We were in college, and so we would move in an apartment, move out of an apartment. I would have a job and an internship, and then I would leave that one and I would go to another one. I did so many things. I was growing and experiencing so much. Now we just have time taken from us. It actually, with all our time-saving devices, things actually take us more time to do. And the reason is because of this time skipping. It's because of our brain recognizing that what I'm doing isn't important. Uh, so I don't know if you've experienced that, but it was super fascinating when I learned about that, that your brain will just not record memory for a few minutes. It's crazy. Um, and so we want to be aware that we have this reduced executive function. So our focus, our memory, our long-term thinking, we don't want to be trapped in short-sightedness. Short-sightedness will make us miss out on life. You remember that movie that had Adam Sandler in it, and he had a remote and he could skip parts of his life? I don't remember what it was called. But that's kind of what's going on with us now is we don't have a remote that's causing us to skip our lives, but we are missing out on parts of our lives. Click, right? Yeah, that was the name of the movie. Okay, number 7 here, a dysregulated nervous system. This means that we have an imbalance. We will get stuck in fight or flight, freeze or fawn more often, way, way too often, which increases our stress. And stress plays a significant role in health issues. Research indicates that 60 to 80% of visits to primary care physicians are related to stress, and chronic stress is a common risk factor in 75 to 90% of diseases. Okay, did you just make that connection? Dopamine fatigue means that we are more susceptible to stress, which means that we're more susceptible to disease. So not only are we missing out on time, we're missing out on health. So if you want better time, or if you want better future, or if you want better health, you had better start interrupting your dopamine fatigue cycle. Okay, has anybody learned something so far? This was like so fun for me to put together. So maybe this whole thing is just for me, and that's totally fine. But it's so powerful to understand this. Okay, so look at what happens. Let's just see. Okay, I see a lot of people saying they're getting something. I guess I should have asked the opposite question. If you're not learning anything, then we could switch. I'll teach you about unforgiveness lists, or I'll teach you about how to interrupt the why autumn cycle in your life. We can switch for sure. I've got like 500 things we could talk about. But this one's really cool. So listen here. So this is a cycle. Um, Shona, I thought I was doing okay until now. Okay, so this is what happens. Oh, yeah, good. Sorry. Thanks for keeping me on track here for a second. So did you get your numbers down? Cindy says, I think I might have all 8 of them. So whatever one of these you have experienced, you want to write that down on your paper so you know what the cost is that you are dealing with. But here's what it's doing to our what is the instant generation experiencing? So every generation has its own problems, right? It has its own problems. And this current generation that's growing up, the problem it's facing is instantness. They're an instant generation. They don't have to wait for anything. So like I told you in one of my emails, my son went out with this cute girl last year. They went out 2 times. But she teaches junior high. And he asked her, what's the hardest thing about teaching junior high? And her response was that the kids don't want to wait for an answer. They don't want to. They get mad. They get frustrated. They can even get mean. They don't want to wait for anything. Well, what is that doing? Well, no waiting leads to less resiliency, fast, weak, untested growth. So think about just the final exam in a class. If you learned the information just really quickly and you didn't do any of the homework problems, you weren't tested. You weren't tested. So when you get to the final exam, you might not know a lot of the answers because you won't recognize how to use the pattern, use the skills that you were taught. When we have no struggle or no wrestling, we get no anchors in good beliefs or belief systems. We struggle with our emotions. We are fearful, anxious, overwhelmed. We have a lot of avoidance. We have shallow roots and we are easily swayed. We're easily swayed. We don't have our own stance on things. We have whatever the person we follow on TikTok, we have their view. We don't have our own views. And so what that creates is fragile humans. We are being trained by algorithms to be fragile humans. And if we're fragile, we will avoid the hard and we will give up easily. Anybody know a teenager or a younger child that avoids hard or gives up easily? Do you know one? I know lots of them. Raise your hand if you can think of one. I just want to know. Raise your hand if you can think of a kid that gives up easily or avoids hard. I can. Oh, yep, 10 of them, right, Shauna? Yeah, so this is what we're up against. This is what they are struggling with, but we're struggling with it too. Just like I noticed that my attention span is lower. And when I saw that, I went, oh my goodness, I've got to do something now because my attention span is also being hijacked. And I don't want my attention span to be hijacked. I want to be in charge of me. Okay, so the real scary thing is repeated thoughts and emotions can create habitual chemical states in the body, leading to individuals to become neurochemically attached to the conditions in their life. Okay, I'll just give you a second to read that and let it soak in. So Joe Dispenza says, repeated thoughts and emotions can create habitual chemical states in the body, leading individuals to become neurochemically attached to the conditions in their life. In other words, everything that goes on in a person's life is because of the chemicals their body is habituated to. So our struggles, the struggles that our kids are having, the struggles that we watch other people go through, it's because we get into a habit of the chemicals. So what do I mean? Let me explain that a little bit better. Let's go back to our neuron here. So what makes you different than the animal kingdom? Or then let's just look at electricity. So all of these neurons send electrical signals. So does our computer. So what's different about us than our computer? Well, the biggest difference is that these electrical signals are chemical electrical. Each of these neurons this picture doesn't show one, but between this neuron and the next neuron where they connect, there is a little space called the synaptic cleft that what happens is our neuron fills that space with a mix of chemicals. And based on what chemicals are put into that synaptic cleft, makes the neuron decide what signal to send to the next neuron. Okay, so hang with me. This is a little deeper for a second. So this neuron sends a chemical soup to the next neuron. And then this neuron picks up that soup and says, oh, based on these chemicals, I'm going to send this signal. Well, our brain loves the chemicals it's used to. Okay? And so that means that our brain, um, everything that a person does is because of the chemicals their body, we could put the word addicted. The chemicals their body is addicted to. In other words, the other real scary thing is a large majority, possibly 90 to 95% of our daily behaviors and decisions are shaped by unconscious habits, emotional patterns, and environmental cues. Did you just hear that? Up to 95% of what you do during the day is because you've done it before. It's because you're used to the chemicals of it. So the brain will scheme scenarios that produce the chemical cocktail it is used to. It will scheme the things. We'll use that one in a minute. Your brain will make up situations. It will send signals to the people around you. So now you have interactions in a way that help you have the chemicals that you want. And as a body language expert, I'm going to tell you your body speaks before your words ever arrive. Okay? So what does that mean? What do these together mean? Point with your cursor, Anne. What do these three things together mean? They mean that your subconscious is going to decide that it wants to feel the same way it's felt before. And it's going to send signals out through your body language to other people to get them to treat you in a way that matches the chemicals your body is trying to get to. And your subconscious does not care if your results are good for your goals or if they're truth. Your subconscious is not wired to seek for truth or for success. It is wired to seek for what it's used to. That's what it wants. Your brain wants it so bad that it will scheme an idea. It'll go, ooh, if I can get that person to treat me, to look at me like this, I will get that feeling that I want, that feeling of being rejected, that feeling of not mattering. Let's see, what was my example earlier? It will give me that feeling of um, I'm not wanted and I'm not needed. That's what it'll do. Oh, if I can get that person to go like this. So what can I do? Let's see. I'll walk by and I'll look really silly while I go by. And then that person will go, "Ugh," and I'll go, oh, I'm not needed. Oh, I love the feeling of not needed. And then our prefrontal cortex goes, man, I hate the feeling of not being needed. But the rest of our system is going, yeah, I love the feeling of not being needed or wanted. When I learned this, that was a big brain. What is that called? I can't think of what it's called right now. My brain doesn't want me to. Are you hearing what I'm saying, you guys? Thank you. That was a mind blow. Um, so my mind blow was that, oh my gosh, I'm sending the signals out so that I can be treated in a way that makes me feel the way I've felt before. Just soak on that for a second. Isn't that a little bit crazy? So my system is craving to feel that way. So this might be too deep of a question. And if it is, then just write the question down and maybe ponder it later. What are the beliefs that keep coming back up for you? What are the things that your body is trying to repeat? Maybe it's that so and so doesn't like me. Maybe that I'm not healthy. Or maybe that the world only likes certain people that look a certain way. That was one for my mom, right? Because my mom was always really heavy my whole life. She weighed nearly 400 pounds. And that was so she had a couple of conflicting beliefs that she kept repeating. One is that the world doesn't like fat people. And the other was that fat people can hide from the world. So those two conflicting beliefs, she repeated those a lot. She was in a lot of situations where people treated a fat person less than, and she was in a lot of situations where she could pretend to hide from the world because she was fat. And so that's too big of a question for a webinar unless you can pause me because you're listening to the recording. And you can pause and listen to your own brain and go, what is it that I keep repeating? Because for me, it was, I'm not lovable, that I'm in charge of everybody else's emotions. If anybody's upset, I need to change until they're happy. I also had ones that I couldn't do certain things because of where I grew up or because of who my parents were. Uh, that everyone is indifferent to me. It's a good one, Alicia. Yeah, if you can find it, write it in the chat. And you can just send it to me. You don't have to, you can do it private. There's a private option on the chat. But I would highly suggest that you consider that because you have a belief, and it could be a money belief, it can be a value belief, it can be a time belief, it can be an age, it can be a health belief. We have all kinds of beliefs that we are repeating. We're making a pattern out of them because my brain loves what the chemical cocktail of that belief feels like. Right? Rebecca says one of mine was that there's not enough room for me. 9 brothers and sisters, right? Yep. My husband's one of 9 brothers and sisters too. Um, yeah, so whatever the belief is, I'd love it if you shared. But you need to know this. Every single human on the planet has a belief that their brain craves. Your brain craves your negative belief. It does. And so if you don't understand that, you're missing out on a big part of your life because what you're doing is you're just repeating the cocktail. That's all you're doing over and over and over again. And your brain can create that cocktail in different ways because I might feel like I'm not wanted differently around my brother than I do around my sister. But both ways, I can feel unwanted. Um, and so my brain becomes very good at creating those scenarios. So, does this resonate with any of you? If it resonates with you, put me in the chat. I just want to know if because I have some other things I want to share tonight, but it matters. It matters that we're on the same page. Okay. Because I have to tell you this. Just looking at the number of people that registered for this webinar versus the number of people that were able to show up live, I happen to know that there were a lot of people that had something happen to try to stop them from being here tonight. And one of the reasons for that is because their brain doesn't want them to be able to have a chance to feel a different chemical pattern. We have to be willing to feel feel uncomfortable in a different chemical pattern long enough for it to become a pattern. And that can be really scary. That can be really hard. Um, so let's consider this for a second. Um, so here's my trees right here. I think they're beautiful, beautiful trees. But there was a simulation that was done in Arizona. And what it was is it was called Biosphere 2. And some of you have heard about it. I talked about it in Breakthrough Coaching. And in Biosphere 2, it was an ambitious experiment conducted in Arizona to create a closed ecological system simulating Earth's environment. One of the unexpected challenges encountered was that the trees within the structure grew rapidly, but they lacked the necessary strength to support themselves, often collapsing before reaching maturity. Wouldn't that be strange? You've built this big, they wanted to see if they could take Earth and put an Earth colony on Mars or on the moon. And the trees kept falling over. And they're like, what the heck? Why are the trees falling down? Well, they attributed this to the absence of wind inside the sealed environment. In natural settings, wind stresses trees, prompting them to develop stress wood or reaction wood, which enhances their structural integrity and resilience. Without this environmental stressor, the trees in Biosphere 2 failed to develop the robustness needed to remain upright. We are in a world, you guys, I'm just going to be passionate for a second, that is trying to stop your ability to stand strong and remain upright. Your world wants you down. And the problem is your subconscious is on board with it. It's like, woohoo, instant gratification. I love this. I'm so tired of this and I'm going to keep doing it anyway. Until we collapse. We collapse because of the easiness of what's available to us. We don't get stronger with easy. We don't. We get stronger when we work for something. In fact, here's this fun example. My son, I have 4 sons, so that's why I keep saying my son, but it's actually different sons every time. So my son, he just moved home from college. He graduated and he's living here while he's looking to buy a house. He's just not sure where to buy the house because he's just broke up with his girlfriend. And so it's like, where should I buy a house? So while he's doing that, he's renting a room from me and he has his own bathroom. And in his bathroom, he decided to order a bidet, one of those bidets that goes on the top of your toilet and it'll squirt water out or air out, or I don't know what all it does, but he ordered one of these because he wanted one. And it came today. And while I was preparing slides, I could hear him up there tinkering away, and he'd come down and he'd say, hey, do you know if we have this tool? And I'd be like, check over in this place. And I never went up there. I haven't been up there at all. I didn't help him one little bit. But I overheard him later telling somebody else, overheard him telling her that he ordered this bidet and he thought it would take him an hour to install it. And he goes, lo and behold, it took me 3 hours. And you know what? This is what I loved. He said, and you know what? I feel amazing right now because he solved it. It had all these problems. Every time he turned it on, it was leaking. And he's like, what in the world? And so he had to solve the leaks and he had to get a different tool to turn the nuts and to tighten the fittings. And I just loved that when I heard him. He's like, I feel amazing. We don't get that enough in our world. We don't struggle to the point of amazingness. We don't. We struggle, give up. Struggle, give up. Struggle, give up. Struggle? No, thank you. I'll just scroll. We don't. But yet, on the other side of working on something hard is amazingness. And so I so love that when he's like, I feel amazing. That was not what I expected as a reaction. I expected him to be like, oh, stupid thing, and then go into blame, right? Because that's what we usually do, is we want to go into blame and say, oh yeah, it was their fault for not giving good directions, or the engineer should have designed it better. But the reality is we need calm between our storms, but we also need storms between our calm. We fear the storm so much that we crave calm, but we need some storms between calm because it develops stronger humans, just like it develops stronger trees. We want to be stronger humans. It develops in us confidence, a feeling of comfort, and a generalized expectation or hope of a positive outcome in the future, versus dependence, which is a feeling of uncertainty and a generalized expectation or hope of a negative outcome in the future, or a fear of missing a good one, a fear of missing out. So we want to be able to do that. So here's a list. Here's a list of some of the ways that we can interrupt the fatigue pattern. And you can take a screenshot of this, but I've picked out a few of these that I'm going to recommend that all of us here practice for the next week. Are you game? Do you want, I'm not going to say you have to lock away your phone for a week, although that would be amazing for us. I found this as I was looking around the internet. Weak signal equals strong connection. If we have weak Wi-Fi when we're out in nature, we'll actually have a stronger connection with people. So I'm not going to say that you have to. That would be awesome if we all met for a retreat and we locked away the phones. Oh, could that be so much fun? And we had 2 days of no phones and we were just connecting with people. Wouldn't that be amazing? I would love it so much. Okay, yes. Because we don't even know how to be around people anymore. We've forgotten. Zoom is what everybody uses now. 5 years ago, nobody knew how to get on Zoom. And now it's like, oh yeah, Zoom. Okay, I'll get on Zoom with you. So here are some solutions, and you can take a quick screenshot, but then I'm going to go through 5 of them that I picked out for you. Cool? Right, Lacey? Prisons have better connection than the outside world. Interesting. I haven't looked into that. Okay, so here is, oh, wait, I need a commitment. So look down at your paper, and do you have any of your struggles written down? Do you have them written down? You're supposed to. So just look at them for a minute. Would it be worth getting past those struggles? Would it be worth it? So here's what I want you to tell me in the chat. I want you to tell me why or who. Who would it be worth getting past those struggles for, or why? What would you achieve, or who would be better? Who would be better off in your life because you got through those struggles? Okay, so everybody's got to tell me an answer in the chat. Give me a who or a what? Or a why? Okay? What would be better in your life or who? Right? There's a lot of people that have people related to them that they think would be better off. Pretty much everyone around me. That's a good answer, Crystal. Yeah. All those probably people you haven't met yet, right? If any of us are planning someday to hopefully have grandchildren, that's what I want someday. My grandchildren will be better off. The world around me will be better. Probably even some people that I don't want to have a better life. Do you have anybody like that? They'll be better off too. It will be so much better. The world will be a better place when we are a positive drop in the ocean instead of just following the same old pattern. Okay, so since you have that, will you commit to doing at least one thing off of my 5 list here every day for the next week? There's 5 options, and I promise none of them are illegal. They're all legal, moral, and ethical, so no worries there. If you will commit to that, raise your hand in the chat, or raise your hand or say yes in the chat. Awesome. The world's going to be a better place in a week. I love it. Okay, so here's the first one of your options. So the first one is anchor the awesome. I talked about this one in my negative thoughts webinar last month, and I've gotten reports from people at what a difference this has made. I put 3 times a day. If you take 15 seconds 3 times a day, you guys, that's less than a minute that you're committing to over the next week. Less than a minute. But what it does, what you're going to do is you're going to set an alarm on your phone 3 times a day. And when the alarm goes off for 15 seconds, and you need to time it, make sure you go a whole 15 seconds. You can go longer if you want, but at least 15 seconds. You need to pick, you can alternate between your senses. So pick something, either look around and find something beautiful and look at it for the full 15 seconds and feel it going into your heart and feel it calming down your nervous system and just anchor yourself to something beautiful in your world. And then the next time your alarm goes off, maybe you listen for something. You close your eyes and you find a sound and you listen to it for 15 seconds. Maybe one of mine was today, when my alarm went off, I paused and I listened and I could hear my cat making little snoring sound in the other room. And I was like, aw. And I just listened to his little snoring sounds for 15 seconds. Or maybe you're outside and you smell lilacs or fresh air, but you pick a different scent, a different sense, each of those 15 seconds. And you teach your brain that it can be anchored to positive things in your environment. This brings your brain back to the present and it shifts you out of autopilot. Cool? Okay, so there's number 1. Anybody like that one? Number 2 in how to reboot your brain and nervous system. Organize something small. And you know what? You can. These are so little. You could do all of them in a day. I do. I plan to continue to do it too. So organize something small. When you put something into order, it shows your prefrontal cortex loves that, but it also shows your brain that you can make choices to organize instead of just have things around you decide what you feel like. So tidy a drawer or a counter or a folder, or for me, like I went and I folded some of my exercise clothes because I love to be able to pull out my exercise clothes basket and have my exercise clothes rolled up in there. I love that. So I went and did that today. Because order on the outside equals order on the inside. This gives your brain a win and helps it to calm down. Okay, number 3, do a puzzle like a jigsaw. Brenda's on here. Sudoku, I put that there just for you, Brenda. You can do these, not that you should get stuck in these all day long, but doing a puzzle shows your brain that you're willing to figure out an answer instead of just ask for answers. So being willing to do a word search or a jigsaw or a crossword or something like this, it actually also helps activate some play mode. So your world doesn't have to be all work and no play. That is not what I'm saying at all. But this actually, I have a little app on my phone. It's called New York Times Games or something like that. And there's 5 little games on it. There's 5 little games. There's a words, I don't remember what they are, but they're 5 games and you're only allowed to play them once each day. So I go on there and you play it. Oh, there's a Wordle and there's a letter search and there's a I don't know what they're called. But anyway, I go through and I can play those 5 games and then I can't play it anymore. It won't let me. I have to wait till the next day. So once every 24 hours, it'll let you play each of those games one time. And it shows my brain I can solve a problem. I can do it. Because because video games, oh, I don't want to go on that tangent. Okay, quickly. There are video games that will teach your brain good things. But the problem is when you get in there and it also is running your dopamine cycle. You can't let it hijack you. You do want to solve problems, but you don't want to be hijacked. So playing them on paper is a safer option, but and it can be like Duolingo. Duolingo now does math. You can go on Duolingo and do math problems for 2 minutes. But doing a puzzle actually can help you reboot your brain with one caveat. If you are using games like this already as an escape, you cannot pick number 3. If you're using them as an escape, no, you can't have this one because it's not going to reboot you if you're already using it to fatigue you. Does that make sense? Right, Cindy? Some of you are like, yeah, I've got this one. I can do it. Not if you're using it as an escape. Okay, then it's not going to work. You need to pick one of the others. All right, number 4. Oh, I love this one. I love it so much. So much. I love it. Okay, humming. Here, everybody do it with me. Ready? That was one breath of humming. Humming, the vibration actually stimulates your vagus nerve. And your vagus nerve is what is needed to put you into your parasympathetic nervous system. Doesn't it feel good, right? So hum, this needs to be at least a minute, okay? So I better add that on here. It needs to be at least 1 minute. So greater than 1 minute, okay? Because even though we just did one breath, we did 10 seconds and you could feel it. Imagine one whole minute. And it doesn't even matter what sound. You can hum a song, but I like to go, I like to get lower and lower because it just feels so good to your vagus nerve. So humming is a really good reboot for your nervous system. No, it needs to be humming. So singing does not count for this particular one. Singing is awesome. And if you sing, sing. For heaven's sake, sing. But humming specifically causes this vibration that can help your vagus nerve. So thank you for asking. But if you choose number 4, it is humming. Humming for 1 minute at least. You can hum a whole song, or you can hum a verse of a song. So you can sing. So if you want, Alicia, you can sing the first verse, hum the second, sing the third. But the point, or sing the same song 2 times and then hum it. But the point is to let your vagus nerve feel that vibration. It's so fun. And then really quick, what if it's non-digital? So Lacey, the point of number 3 is if you are already using puzzles as an escape, then you can't do this one as a reboot. It won't work. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if it's on paper or not. This is for people who don't do puzzles, okay? If you, a puzzle is good for you if you aren't using it as a distraction. Does that make sense? Thank you for clarifying. So humming. And then number 5 is go spend some time in nature, hands or feet in the grass. So you can weed, but it's better if it's not with gloves on and that gets too many pricklies. So I prefer just to put my feet in the grass or on a grounding pad. Adam, my helper in the background today, is an expert on grounding. He is going to teach us at Breakthrough Coaching soon about grounding. I'm really excited about that. But go out in nature. It is a great brain and nervous system reset because of all the electronics in our world. So we have so many electronics that are bombarding us with electrical signals. We need a reset. And so putting your feet on a grounding pad or out in the grass, because it's spring, you guys, at least in the northern hemisphere, and in the southern, it's fall. So either way, it's a good time to be outside. And so putting your feet in the grass can help reset and ground all of that electrical signal out of you. Would it be better for a grounding pad or a grounding bed topper? Either way, whatever. I keep a grounding pad under my desk. And so then when I wear my bare foot, oh, I can't show you my bare feet, but trust me, I have bare feet. I can touch my grounding pad on the bare feet. No. Yeah, did I say that right? I can touch my bare feet to the grounding pad. There we go. And then that helps with all this electrical signals I'm absorbing all day long. Okay, so did you pick one? 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5? So everybody in the chat, thank you, Shauna. She put a cheat sheet for you there. Everybody in the chat, put 1, 2, 3, 4, or 5. Pick the one that you're going to do this week. Which one are you going to do? Is it anchoring the awesome every day? Is it organizing something, doing a puzzle, only if you don't use those as an escape, humming, or going out in nature? I'm going to do all but 3. Good job, Brenda. Good job. Aren't those awesome? One and four, 4 and 5, 4 and 5, all but 2, 4, 3 and 4. Excellent. I love it. I love it so much, you guys. Because imagine when you do this, none of these that I gave you will take more than a couple of minutes. They can all be done very quickly. Maybe you want to spend 10 minutes outside. That would be nice. But realistically, even if you just walk out to your mailbox and high five your mailbox. One of my personal mentoring clients, we talked about that. I can't remember if she actually put a hand out there on her mailbox so that when she goes out there, she can high five her mailbox. So she makes sure and gets past her programming that wants her to think it's going to be too hard or to take too long to go outside. All of these are fast, you guys. I mean, hum 1 minute, do a jigsaw or do a crossword, right? That might take a couple more minutes if you don't know words really well, or get on Duolingo and do 2 minutes of math problems. It's so much fun. Oh, you know what? On Duolingo, you can also do music. They'll teach you piano notes on Duolingo as well. Okay. Organize something. You can just, like in the Chaos to Order audiobook, you can just put the spoons on top of each other in the spoon drawer. It doesn't have to be hard or perfect, because perfection is one of those things that actually tries to sabotage our dopamine system. Okay, so here are some of the other webinars that I've done recently that you have access to. So you can take a screenshot of this if you want. This right here, the middle one, 3ke.to/replay, that's going to be the replay of this webinar. as soon as we finish tonight. You can also go watch my TED Talk, my emotional coping styles webinar, or if you missed the one that I did on prayer recently, that can be a game changer for sure. But because we're in Holy Week right now and it's Easter this weekend, can I give you one more reboot option? Would that be all right? Can I give you a number 6? Will you receive? Would you receive one more? Nobody has said yes. Oh, there they are. Yes. Yes. Yay. Awesome. Okay. So, to explain number 6, I'm going to have to give you some background. One of the things that, so in breakthrough coaching this last week, we were talking about making an unforgiveness list. So who are the people or situations in your life or your history that you have gone unforgiven in your life, that you have not been willing to forgive? And interestingly enough, when I asked that question, one of the people that a lot of people put on their unforgiveness list is themselves. Not me, themselves, right? And so I'm just curious. You don't have to, but I'd love it if you have a hard time forgiving yourself. Will you raise your hand just so other people know they're not alone? Because that's one of the hardest people to forgive is yourself, right? And just if you don't believe me, can you guys see the hands? There's lots of hands going up. And so we have this problem that we have a hard time forgiving ourselves. Well, why? Why do we have a hard time forgiving ourselves? Well, one of the reasons is we are afraid so why Tatum here is, I'm afraid of what other people think about me, or I'm afraid I've done something wrong, or I am something wrong. We're afraid of one of these things. We have fear. And fear is one of the biggest things that we want to get away from. We don't like fear. Fear is a big discomfort, and our brain seeks rescue from fears. And so if I have these fears, I'm going to avoid this. I'm going to avoid forgiving myself. I'm going to get stuck in dopamine patterns because I'm afraid of what other people think, what I think others think about me. Okay, so what I think others think about me. I'm not even actually afraid of what other people think about me. I'm afraid of what I think they think about me. I guarantee you it's much more powerful. Or that I did something wrong or I am something wrong. Can anybody relate to this right here? Do any of these resonate? Raise your hand for me if any of these resonate. And maybe you have to soak in it for a minute. But very often when we have trouble forgiving ourselves, it's one of these, okay? Well, what I think, why taught them instead of, oh, why taught them? What I think others think about me. Oh, I can't spell others with an A today? Oh my gosh, okay, fine. So what I think others think about me. And so so what will happen is I won't forgive myself. I won't let go. And so our number 6 here on how to reboot our nervous system is I need to do a forgiveness or a letting go of myself. But I might not, this is not a 1-minute one. This isn't a 1 minute. This one would take a little bit longer. But the thing is by holding on, not holding on, by withholding, there's the word, by withholding forgiveness from ourselves, we actually dishonor the atonement. It is not an honor to the atonement for us to say, I can't forgive me. I have to hold on because I've done something or I am something wrong or what other people think of me. I can hold on to that and to the point that I am dishonoring what Christ did for us. And I'm just going to go there in this webinar because it's on Easter week this week, this year, this month, something like that. Okay. So if you're not okay with that, then just send me a message privately in the chat and I can um, give you some change of language way of looking at this, because whether you uh, believe in Christ or not, we can still have a disability when it comes to forgiving ourselves. And we can be struggling with that. And that is right, Vicky? It's a fitting message for Thursday of Holy Week when Judas betrayed the Savior with a kiss and Jesus washed his feet. Exactly. So there's a lot of so I'll just give you this background. My dad is a huge scriptorian. He knows more about the scriptures than probably anyone I have ever talked to or read. And he has a lot of questions about whether whether there actually is a God and whether there actually is an afterlife, even though he's a scriptorian. But the one thing that he never struggles with is his belief in Christ, which is interesting to me. And so he has lots of questions, lots of questions, don't get me wrong. But the thing he doesn't question is Christ, because there's so much value in the whole concept of Christ. So anyway, if you want somebody to talk to about something like that, my dad, he would talk to you, and he's really, really knowledgeable, really good guy. But the thing is that Christ believes in our ability to get stronger. He does not take away our struggle. We misunderstand this. We think that, oh, if there's really a Christ, then when I ask, he'll just take away my struggle. He doesn't take away our struggle. He supports us. He'll stand by us. He'll believe in us. He'll be a cheerleader for us, but he wants us to get stronger. He wants us to become stronger from the planet that we're on is here to make people stronger, right? Just like the trees get stronger because of the wind, we get stronger because of our struggles. And one of the struggles of our modern world, because of our dopamine fatigue, is actually an inability to forgive ourselves. This right here is opposition crafted. Since I'm using this language, it's crafted by the devil. It helps us to disbelieve in ourselves. It helps us to not be willing to forgive ourselves. And I only know this because I am somebody who has disbelieved myself a lot in the past. To the point when my first child was born, some of you have heard this story. I sat on the living room floor in my little apartment holding my baby and bawling my eyes out. And my husband, bless his heart, I don't know why he's still my husband, he came in and he's like, "What's wrong?" He's looking around for the problem to solve. What's wrong? Is the baby okay? I'm like, "The baby's fine." He's like, "Well, then why are you crying?" And I said, "Because I'll never see my baby again." And he's like, "What are you talking about?" And I said, "He can go to heaven and I can't." And my husband at this point is like super confused. He's like, "What are you talking about?" And I'm like, "I've done so many things wrong and I've tried to repent, but I can't." And so, because my belief was I could only do each thing wrong once. And then if I did it wrong a second time, then I was out of luck. And so I believe forgiveness was a punch card. I didn't understand that the whole point of earth, the way we honor the atonement is by being willing, listen carefully to this, is by being willing to make choices and willing to make mistakes. We forget that the whole purpose of the atonement is so that I can make mistakes. And how is this planet lined up? This planet is lined up that our mistakes make us stronger. We learn so much from those mistakes and we get stronger because of them. And Christ made it possible that I could make mistakes and not have them be permanent and make me weak. I can learn from a mistake and get stronger. And so I dishonor the atonement when I believe that me making a mistake has made it so that I am something wrong. Does this make sense, you guys? And maybe I'm the only one. Maybe I'm just dreaming when I believe that there's other people on the planet that feel the same way. But I felt like I was. In fact, there's a movie now called Irredeemable, right? Where they talk about being irredeemable. And so I realized I dishonor the atonement. I dishonor Christ when I believe that I should not make mistakes. And what does and a desire to not make mistakes, what does that do to us? It puts us into a state of fear. And fear is not what we're here for. We're here, we can feel the fear, but we're here to choose faith. But we don't choose faith, we choose fear. And why do we choose fear? We choose fear because we believe there's something inherently wrong with us. And so I'm going to be afraid of making mistakes. So I'm choosing into fear. And what do I do when I choose into fear? I look for a rescue and I go to my dopamine hits to get out of the discomfort of the fear. Okay, are you hearing this? I'm obviously a little passionate about it. So let me just go through that one more time really quick. So what do? I'm afraid of making mistakes. I choose into the fear. And so now I've got to go get rescued from the discomfort. And I do that by going into a dopamine cycle. So this is crafted so well by the opposition to get us to spin in this dopamine fatigue cycle so that I can't forgive myself. And so what do when I don't forgive myself? I'm dishonoring the whole purpose of this Holy Week because Christ made it so that I can learn from my mistakes, not just the things that I do right. And if I take an inventory, I often feel like I do more things right than I do wrong, I do more things wrong than I do right. Especially because now I have grown children and they'll tell me what I did wrong, right? Any of you have grown children that tell you what you've done wrong? I think it's part of being an adult child. We feel like we need to tell our parents what they did wrong. Oh, they must not know. So here, let me tell you. Yep. So I'm going through that. My kids love to tell me what I've done wrong. And I'm not even a grandma yet. I'm sure there'll be many more times for my kids to tell me I'm doing things wrong. At least I have young children who tell me what I've done wrong. Right? So Brenda says, my kids are amazing at forgiving me, but are you amazing at forgiving you? That's the thing. It's not, it's actually less your kid's job to forgive you and more your job to forgive you. The most important person you forgive on this planet is not that person that's hurt you, is not that person that did terrible things or anybody else on the planet. The most important person you forgive is you. That's the most important person you forgive. And so if number 6 is for you, then I'm thrilled that you're here tonight, or I'm thrilled you're listening to the recording, because the reality is we have hurts, we have pain, we have lots of things that we are trying to escape from. We really do. There is no shortage of discomfort on this planet, but unfortunately, there's a huge surplus of rescuing that's available. And that rescuing can cause a crash for us. And it also can keep us stuck in not feeling the pain fully. So listen to this carefully. I need to lean into the pain of what I feel fully so that I can want out of it. Your joy, oh, I forgot to put the person that wrote this, but I can't remember, it's an Indian name. Your joy is sorrow unmasked. The deeper that sorrow carves into your being, the more joy you can contain. Christ will let you feel your pain until you felt it enough to want out from under it. I told a story at Breakthrough Coaching last week that I had a conversation with my husband that he he has felt like he needs to carry all the pain of our family. And if he sees our kids going through any struggle, he tries to rescue them from that struggle. Because we're the first generation in history, you guys, that can rescue our kids over and over again. That's why there's so many kids living in their parents' basements, because we can rescue them. But I was talking to him and I said, if you can let our kids feel their own burden, they can get to a place that they want out from under it. Well, that's what Christ is doing for us. That's what the atonement is he's going to let us feel our burden so that when we want out from under it, it's possible to get out from under it because of the atonement. So we want to not dishonor the atonement by not being willing to forgive ourselves. We need to quit fearing the struggle and honor the atonement by being willing to embrace the silence. In other words, can I let go of the instant gratification dopamine cycle long enough to feel the uncomfortable and see it as safe because me plus the atonement equals I'm actually okay. No matter what I'm going through, me plus the atonement equals I'm okay. I may not know all the ways out right now. I may not know how to fix things. I may be seeing consequences of my choices. But you know what? You plus the atonement equals you are okay. You're actually fine because the end of the story has been written because of this Holy Week. So if you're somebody who needs number 6, then at least privately will you tell me that you need number 6, just so I know um, who I needed to share this for? So you can just go, oh, you guys can't see the hands. You can just raise your hand. I can just be the only one that sees them. Um, or you can tell me in the chat. You can just click it to host and I'll be the only one that sees it. But you guys, it's really hard as a body language expert to watch people hurt so much because they can't forgive themselves, which was the whole gift Christ was giving us. It wasn't possible without the atonement for us to forgive ourselves. It wasn't. And it's really hard for me to watch people all over the planet hurt so much because they can't let go. But I can't save them. All I can be is a lighthouse. That's all I can do. And so if you share this webinar with somebody or somebody watches this or you are here because you need to hear it, then please just listen to my words because I've hurt so much in my life. You plus the atonement, no matter who you are or what you think you've done or what you think others think about you or what you think the wrong thing is that can't be forgiven or that you are something wrong. No, it's not reality. You plus the atonement is infinite because the atonement is infinite. And if you go to math class, they teach you that anything plus infinity equals what? Infinity. It can't equal less. Please go back 2 slides. I have no idea. I've been jumping all over Brenda, so you got to tell me what was 2 slides ago. Guys, oh, I care. I care. And I've been through the hurt. And so some of you here tonight need to choose number 6. You need to choose number 6. Because you know what? Life is an experience that has an end. It does. But you don't have an end. You don't. So why not enjoy, or dare I say, take life a little less seriously and forgive yourself and live in a little bit more light? Live in a little more light. Have a little more fun. The world has been crafted to try to hide the joy of life from you. That's the real casualty here, is that this cycle, as long as you stay in it, hides the real joy of life from you. It does. So choose out. Choose out. And so on that note, I've just got to announce something really super exciting. It's so exciting, so exciting. I just got to put on the calendar that we get to have break-free intensive in person in July. Am I the only one that's excited about this? Oh my gosh. Because those of you who don't know what break-free intensive is, break-free intensive is where I get to bring my body language skills and my desire and love of who you are to class. And the way it works is this. So at the break-free intensive class, so this is our old flyer, right, that I used to pass out in class. And this class was the way it works. Oh, and by the way, there used to be like 300 seats in this class, but the venue that I got for this is only holds 100 people. So there's only 100 seats this time. So the way it works though is when you come to this class, you have the option. You have the option of putting your name in the bowl. And then what happens is I draw a name out of the bowl, and if it's yours, I call your name and you come up to the front of the class. And then in the front of the class, I will ask you questions about what you are stuck in your life. I have superpower vision, you guys. I can watch the messages that your subconscious is sending. Because remember how I told you a few minutes ago that 95% of what you do during the day is coming from your, nope, not that slide. Let me try again. Let me try again. That 95%, oh, I can't find it, is coming from your subconscious. 95% of your behavior is coming because your brain wants that chemical soup. It wants that. Well, I know I had a slide that said that somewhere, but I can't find it now. So I'm going to watch the messages that your subconscious is sending out. And when I can see the message, so what I do is I listen to what you're saying and I watch what your body's saying. And when they don't match, we have a ding, 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 and we can find out what the program is that your subconscious is defending more than truth and more than your future. Did you hear that? We can find what it is that your brain is valuing more than truth and more than your future. And when you find that program, then I can help you put steps into place to break out of it, which is so powerful, you guys, right? Who here has ever been to Break Free Intensive? Raise your hand if you've ever been, because I'm just curious. I'm so excited, in case you can't tell. Um, oh, not very many of you. Okay. Only like, well, maybe 25% of you. Oh, cool. Oh, you guys. Well, if you've never gotten to come to Break Free Intensive, it is powerful. I meant to bring out here, I have a stack of testimonials, probably this big, of things that people have written after they've been to the Break Free Intensive class. It's so powerful. And I can't find my slide that says that, but that's okay. Because remember, your brain wants to scheme the scenarios that produce the chemical cocktail it's used to. So if you want to interrupt that cocktail and you've been trying and you haven't succeeded, Break Free Intensive is the place for you. It is, I promise. It is such a beautiful experience. So it's a 2-day class. It's going to be in person July 18th through the 19th in 2025 in the Salt Lake area. And so as soon as we sign the contract on the venue, then I will send the address to the people who register for the event. Okay. And so it'll be July 18th and 19th. We are in April, May, June, July. Oh, that'll happen so quickly. So 3 months away, 3 months from tomorrow. So it's a Friday and a Saturday. So we will meet all day on Friday and all day on Saturday. And what we do is at the class, I take you through an activity first thing in the morning on Friday. And in that activity, I'm going to help you see options of what the things are that could be standing between you and what you're trying to improve in your life. So maybe you're trying to improve relationships. Maybe there's somebody that you just can't get off your unforgiveness list. Maybe there's something you're trying to achieve and you just can't seem to achieve it. So maybe there's a goal, maybe there's a relationship, maybe there's something about yourself. All of those things you can bring to the table. And the people who are pulled out of the hat, they have 30 minutes on stage. And during those 30 minutes, I'm going to work with them. I'm going to mentor them and ask them questions and help them with their body language in front of the live audience. And so if you'll see this right here, it's in the landing page. So if you click on this link right here, it's going to tell you some more things about the class. And I did this class. So before this class, it was called the frying pan. And the frying pan, only 10 people could come to the class. And I got to the point I was doing the frying pan 3 times a month. It was exhausting. It was just this constant, and not everybody could get in that wanted to be in. So I upgraded it to the Break Free Intensive class, and I taught this class for several years before COVID. And then during COVID, I taught it 2 times in 2020 so that people had a chance to come on stage on Zoom. But now, 5 years later, I'm so excited that we get to do the class live in person. Kirk said the only caveat is that if nobody registers for it, then I can't hold the class. And I was like, what? That seems fair. So here is the thing. Because you came here tonight, you are the first people to learn about this. So the class used to be $749, but this time it's a smaller venue, a smaller class. And so if you click on this right here, 3ke.to/BFI, or you click on it in the chat or put this in your browser, you'll see that we were able, because of the smaller venue, we were able to bring the tuition down to $497. And oh my gosh, you guys, in our world, I have rubbed shoulders with some of the best mentors on the planet. I have interacted with some people that are amazing, and none of them have anything like Break Free Intensive. This class just doesn't exist anywhere else. And so if you are somebody who is stuck anywhere, or you really just wish you could achieve this thing, come to Break Free Intensive. Come there, because I've decided to devote my body language reading skills to helping people access their amazingness. Because like I said, I see way too many people that can't forgive themselves. They don't move forward in that way. And so if you felt stuck, or you're in looping behavior, or in anywhere, or you know somebody that is, they need to come to Break Free Intensive. I will take really good care of them. I will. Anybody that's been to Break Free Intensive, tell them in the chat if I'll take good care of them. Adam will be there too. Ammon will be there. We'll have the whole crew will be there, and we will take good care of you. So the special, if you clicked on it, has anybody clicked on it yet? Does the link work? Bill, I remember you on stage. It changed my life, he said. And while there, I saw it change the lives of everyone in the room. Oh my gosh, I'm gonna cry. Because that's the beauty of Break Free Intensive, is you don't have to be on stage in order to have amazing breakthroughs. What you do is you come and you watch the other people on stage, and you might not have, they might ask questions that you never even thought of asking. And so you get to have breakthroughs when they have breakthroughs. It's so powerful. Okay, so the link works. So if you click on this, it's going to show you that we were able to lower the tuition to $497. And then the code, because you came to the webinar and you're the first ones to find out about it, I was able to get a coupon or a promo code. I think it's called coupon. When you click on the link and you put in your name, in the next page, there's a place that says coupon code. If you type this in, special 2025, it'll take an additional $100 off. So now it's only $397, which is less than what it was back 6, 7, 8 years ago. So we've had inflation in the world, but not here. Not here because I want you there. I want you there. Okay, so Nicole asked, she goes, yes, the link works. Is the price per person? I'm wondering for spouses. Do you want your spouse to come with you, Nicole? Okay, here's what I'll do. Adam, can you take notes? If you sign up for Break Free Intensive, so it's Thursday and it's Holy Week. Okay, so in honor of all of that, if you sign up for this by tomorrow night, oh, can I do that? But the recording needs to go out. Okay, so we'll say by Saturday night. Okay, so by Saturday night, if you'll sign up for Break Free Intensive by then, you can have the $100 off and you can bring your spouse with you. You can bring your spouse. Okay. So, and if you're not married, then I'll trust you. You can bring somebody else. Okay. But you can bring your spouse or another person with you. Okay. Oh, you guys, I'm so excited. So please take advantage of that. And I realized I don't even have a way to see if people are registering for it. And I kind of needed one. Oh, well, let's see. How can I do this? Um, okay, so we'll do this. Because the Break Free Intensive, you want to be there, you guys. You really do. And I don't know how this one turns out will depend on if we do more of them or not. All right. So if you've come to Break Free Intensive before, you know it's amazing. So register for it and bring somebody with you. Okay. So that's my Easter gift to you. You can bring another person with you. Will you receive that? Does that make a difference for anybody? It did for Nicole. So that's good. Nobody else? Oh, there it is. Okay. Yay. All right. So you register by um, April 19th at midnight. Okay. So by April 19th at midnight, you register. Then what we will do is we'll reach out to you and ask who your second person is. So you go ahead and register, and then we'll reach out to you, and then we'll need the name and the email of your second person that's going to come with you. Okay. All right. Awesome. Cindy wants to bring her spouse. James says this is great. Awesome. Bill says this is awesome. Lacey does. Kelly does. Nicole does. Okay, cool. All right. Now I can just put it on my vision board that people are going to come to Break Free Intensive and they're going to break free of what is what is stopping them. Cool. Oh, I'm so excited. No, Alicia, you need to change whatever you have that weekend and come. Trust me, you should come. Okay, so Friday and Saturday, July 18th and 19th. Cool? All right, any questions about that? Any questions? So one more thing, if anybody has ever, or if anybody here is wanting to see about doing personal mentoring with me, here is the book a call to do personal mentoring. Because maybe one day of break-free intensive is not enough for you. Maybe you want to work with me for a year and we meet together once a week for the whole year. Because it's Easter week, I would highly recommend you book that phone call and I'll give you some specials and I'll include break-free intensive for you if you sign up for personal mentoring. Okay. So there's that as well. Cool. All right. Let's see if I got through all of my slides. All right. So this code, oh, whoops, that's not that one. So if you want to do personal mentoring, book a call with me. Book a call. Break-free intensive. Okay, here it is. So this code right here, the special that gets you an extra $100 off, you need to use that. That is good for everybody who watches this webinar. Okay, so if you're watching the recording, you can also use that coupon if you watch that recording this weekend. If you register by April 19th, you can bring a second person with you. Okay, so I can't see if people are registering, but I'm going to do one more thing. Oh, Nicole already registered. Awesome. Okay. Yeah, tell me if you already registered because I'm debating giving one more bonus. So I'm just seeing um if this would be awesome. I love it. So very cool. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. Now this bonus is a little bit tricky, okay? But the way this bonus works is the first 5 people that register. So it looks like 2 people have already registered. So we've got room for 3 more. So the first 5 people that register, you are going to get, not both of you, not, so if you're bringing a second person, this is for the person who signs up, right? You are going to get a 1-hour bonus appointment with me. Would you like to meet with me? We're going to meet together before Break-Free Intensive. So you're going to be even more prepped for Break-Free Intensive. Okay. So the first 5 people are going to get to have a personal mentoring appointment with me. Yep, Nicole, you're going to get one. And John Day, you're going to get one. Okay. So anybody who, if you're one of those first 5, and I know 2 slots are taken. So there's 3 more slots. I don't have enough fingers. So there's 3 more slots. Go take one of those because those first 5 people are going to get a 1-hour mentoring appointment with me. You got that, Adam? Because Adam didn't know that ahead of time. Okay. But it's not one for you and the other person. It's just one. But you can bring the other person with you. So you can bring your spouse to the mentoring appointment if you want. You can have both of them come. All right. So, yeah. So the first 5 people get a mentoring appointment with me. Cool? All right. And then what we'll do, Adam, is we'll send it out in an email so that everybody knows if they were one of the first 5 people, okay? All right. I love it. Because we got to figure that out tomorrow, Adam. I don't know how to know who's signed up, but I know we'll get a timestamp. So go ahead and register, and we'll make sure that those 5 people go out in the email so you know who they are. Okay? I'm so excited. All right. So you guys, now the moment I told you at the end of the webinar, I always want to know what is your next step you're going to take because you were on this webinar tonight. What's your next step? All right, what are you going to go do your number that you chose? Then say that in the chat, okay? If you're going to do your number that you chose, then put that in the chat. If you're going to do number 6, put that in the chat. Ooh, brave people. Um, and then I'm going to do my number plus. Awesome. Or are you going to watch one of these other webinars? Maybe you need one of these. Maybe you need the prayer webinar or the emotional coping styles. Maybe you'll watch one of those. Or maybe your action step is you're going to share this replay. I would love it if you know somebody who needs to learn about these dopamine patterns, please share this replay with somebody, okay? But tell me in the chat what you're going to do so that I have that accountability from you. That's our exchange, because I didn't charge anybody anything for watching this tonight. But was it valuable information? Did you guys get value out of spending your time here? Then what I ask in exchange is go take your action, or maybe share this with somebody. Truly incredible and priceless lighthouse. Aw, thank you, Tammy. I love that. All right, I'm gonna hum for a minute. I'm gonna go hum tonight, right? I love it. All the numbers and the replay. I love it, Diane. Very cool. Okay, very nice. Thanks you guys for being here tonight. You are amazing. You matter. You make a difference. The world needs you. The world is better because you're here. And that's the thing is you won't know fully how much the world is a better place because you're here until after you leave and look back. That's the thing is we're on a planet that has a timeline right now, and we can't understand the allness of everything while we're in a linear timeline. And so just please trust me on this. You matter on this planet. You make a difference just for being here. Thank you for being on this planet at the same time as me. I'm honored. I'm honored to share this little blue rock with you in the middle of the universe. And so every time we choose to just take one step up, we shine more light. And I'm grateful to be on this planet with other lights like you. So thanks for spending this time with me, you guys, because I just love being able to have the chance to join light with somebody. Oh, you matter. You matter. You have no idea how much you matter. And I can't wait, you guys, those of you that come in person, I can't wait to give you a big hug, unless you just really don't want a hug. But I just want to give you a hug. I want to give you a hug and thank you for being here. Thank you for being a light. You're loved. Okay, I hope I get to see all of you very soon. Have a wonderful Easter. Have a beautiful night and enjoy breaking some of your fatigue cycle this week. It's going to be so amazing. I love it so much. All right. Have a great night. I'll stay on and ask and answer any other questions for a few minutes, but thanks for being you. Yeah, you're pretty dang awesome. You are just the way you are. And you now know how to even take a step up and be even more. I love you. Good night. I have to quit sharing so that I can do my hearts. Come on, hearts. There they go. See if we can get balloons this time. Come on, balloons. Come on. Why can't I do my balloons? Hey, confetti. There you go. The confetti worked. Or how about this one? All right. I love it. You guys are awesome. Mwah.